Hey, excuse me. I'm coughing already. All right. Hey, good to see everybody. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about comic art as far as artists that want to go to college, because I've been to college, and I also wanted to show some update on my comic book here. I basically I copied this page, or I basically went to work and made copies of. I made composites of some of my pages, and I photocopied them. Basically, I had several parts. Basically, if you go and watch an earlier video, I talked about making composites, where if you're working on a page and one part of the page gets screwed up, you can cut it out and basically, make a composite or work on that part until you get it correct. You know what I mean? Make a composite, because my goal is to just get this done basically, and I was kind of rushing to just get it all out on paper, and I didn't really quite care how it looked. I had the basic idea of it, and now I'm refining it, and I'm going back, and certain things were cool, and other things, I basically have sketched out certain things. I have basically pieces of pages, and I'm putting them together. And here's one. I think it came out really good. This is just a photocopy. It's loose though. I'm gonna tighten it up for my inker. But basically, yeah, I photocopy. I took where's the original? Right here. So I basically took this and photocopied it and shrunk it back down to the correct size. And then you can see the paper clips. I paper clipped it to this, to these panels. You know what I mean? And now I'm going to trace this page and have a finished penciled page, and it's going to look kick-ass. You can see the panels are drawn like cracks, like he's cracking, like shattering, like he's breaking right now, because and this gives you like a little view into why. This is my way of giving a little bit of backstory. Right there, his son's gonna be saying, "Daddy, Daddy, when will we see you again?" or whatever. So there's that, and then I photocopied. Where's that? Here, I'm trying to show you how I took another disaster. Here it is, right here. So I took this page, or these. I basically redrew her, and I still don't like her here because she's too soft looking. I want a more street smart. I want a more smart looking, like, reporter lady. She looks soft. Her hair looks very 80s style, like Farrah Fawcett or something. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't like that. So I gave her more sleek hair design. I just basically started redrawing the whole page. I was like, fuck it, because I can draw very fast now. I've gotten better because I put so much time and effort into this. But yeah, so now here's this reporter chick. She looks a little more modern, updated. And I'm starting to come up with my own SWAT type uniforms, and this is my own vehicle. I'm not, I originally had I worked from Photo Reference, and I drew basically a real SWAT vehicle here. Yeah, clip, man. My camera sucks. Sorry. I'm gonna set my laptop top up right over my shoulder pretty soon here, on a shelf or something. Or I'm gonna put my laptop like you're standing right behind me pretty soon. And I'm just gonna start. Maybe this weekend I'll do that. Set that up, and I'm gonna do these pages right in front of you. But so here's a SWAT vehicle. Right, and I basically got it from photo reference. But now I'm just like, I'm going to make my own SWAT vehicle. So I'm working on my own, and there's one guy walking point. There's a couple guys in the background, and there's going to be one guy hanging off this side of the vehicle right here too. And here's another guy coming down the stairs, pointing a gun at somebody, you know, clearing a house. And then here she is, and she's like standing a ways off from this guy who's being beaten by the police. I didn't put him in there yet, but this guy right here, you can't see him that well, but he's like, oh, God help me. And she's not paying attention. The camera guy sees it though. She's just like, you know, oh my God, you know, we're witnessing police brutality live, like that, you know, basically. And and then here comes the main character, Nutjob, in this like crazy armor that he made. And he comes like springing off of, you know, the top of a house or something, I don't know, and he's like in the air over. He's getting ready to grab one of these guys' batons, and she doesn't see this yet. And then on the next page, if I can find it here. Yeah. Okay, cool. Here it is. So then on the next page, of course, he lands. Here he is coming down with the you know, you got these action lines or speed lines, whatever you want to call them, and then you know, they're all basically standing. So I'm probably gonna have to redraw this page a little bit and update it. But it's the main blueprint is there, the design, my layout, you know what I mean. And so there's that. It's coming along really well. I really like this page right now. The action on it is really good. I'm probably gonna have like a street and some bushes and trees and houses, you know, maybe some silhouettes of trees up into here, and then you'll see smoke grenade or you know, tear gas or whatever clouding up in here with some buildings just kind of lightly outlined in the background, and then you'll see like some more silhouettes of trees and like the sun coming up. It's morning time. And yeah, so there's that. It looks pretty tight so far. Looks pretty tight. So you know, I'm trying to use my art for a good purpose instead of just. I understand people are like, oh, you know, there needs to be more violence in comic books, and I understand, like, you know, I'm a big, you know, you're talking to a guy that I'm a huge fan of, like, you know, Ash and Evil Dead and Army of Darkness and all that. You know, I would love to draw, you know, Evil Dead comic books. Are you kidding me? And then, you know, I'm a big fan of all of that. But what I'm saying is there's why not also have some Americana type stuff, which is what this is, and you know, patriotic stuff, and you know what I'm saying, like, and not just gore and violence and sex, because I mean that's all there is. I mean, if you're against, I mean, basically, to really break it down, only in America do people want to, or you know, I mean, basically only here in the West where people don't see violence every day do they crave comic books and horror movies. And I'm guilty of that too. I'm not saying that that I'm a big horror genre fan. My comic book is I haven't really got to the gory parts yet, but it gets very gory. And my point being is, you know, yeah, I'm saying, hey, let's also have, you know, storylines like this that are more that are pro male. You know what I mean? Let's not just complain about all these female leads and everything and all this. Let's all. Why don't we also make some counter culture for to put things into proper perspective, so that there will be some more, you know, moral, more people who understand, you know, American values more, because kids are growing up without fathers right now, and yeah, and you know, fathers are usually the ones that keep kids in line, and so I'm trying to make a I understand it's a little extreme, but it's a father who gets screwed over and basically is like, look, I'm gonna have control over my kids, and if I have to start beating people, and that's what he does. He starts just beating people's asses over it, um, and it's pretty cool. It's a cool storyline, and um, as far as like college, when I was in college, you know, because I want to talk about the college scene and like hatred of basically pure hatred of white males. And all right, I got to about my second year in college. I think it was second, not third. I said third in a comment recently, but I think it was a 3 year college bachelor degree program. No summers off, just 4 seasons a year, 3 years, get your bachelor's degree. And I specialized, or I made my course of, you know, what do you call it, my major or whatever it was, multimedia and animation, which basically means I had to take a little bit of everything from hand drawing uh, animation traditionally like cells, and you know, and then taking pictures of them with the device that, you know, they had like a computer with a camera all hooked up to it, and you just take one page, set it down, take a picture, take another page in sequence, and then that basically you put a VHS tape in the thing and it takes your animation and puts it on a VHS tape for you, you know, stuff like that. But I also had to take like web design type classes where, you know, you would have to design a mock web page with like flash animations and stuff like that. And you know, up to basically I had to be able to model 3D model like video game characters and make textures for their clothing and their skin and all of this stuff. And so it was a really in-depth college. It cost about $60,000 for the entire you know, 3 year course, and um, and about my second year there, I had to take it was either business fundamentals of business, or it was either fundamentals of business, or it was business ethics. I can't remember. It was one of those two, and neither were very ethical. And basically, business of ethic, or was it business ethics or whatever, was not very ethical. It was on how to basically go to either depressed areas of our country and take advantage of poor Americans for cheap labor, or to have, take your product and have it made over in China or someplace like that. I mean, it was. I'm telling you, man, this country is it is just messed up. So anyway, I had a female teacher, and we were reading. We had a. I want to talk about this, but what I also don't want to forget about is just how just basically, frankly, shit on action art is basically in general in college. But anyway, I'll get back. I'll try to get to that in a second if I don't forget, because it's late here. I don't even expect anybody to be watching. But my point being is, yeah. So where was I? College. I was taking this class, and I'm reading in the textbook, and or basically they made us read articles, and in the textbook it talked about how white males were going to be weeded out of basically out of corporate America and entertainment, is what they were telling me. We were going to be, our generation was going to be held back so that they could elevate females and everybody else, everybody else over us. And I was like reading this in one class. Basically I read an article by a pro, like a white guy that was out in Hollywood, that was a pro in Hollywood, that was talking about how he was upset. This is what they made us read in class. I'm not joking. They made us read this article in class about this guy who was fed up that basically that basically diversity, quote, diversity was taking a backseat to talent now, and that and that it was more important what your skin color was, or what your gender is. And then, so if you're wondering why all our movies are being ruined, if you're wondering why all our comic book characters are being ruined, if you're wondering why your kid who has a natural gift for drawing is, your son who has a natural gift for drawing is sitting home in your basement playing video games, doing nothing with his life instead of working for Marvel Comics or DC, it's because some woman who can draw probably 80% as well as he can, is basically got his job, and she's probably a feminist, and she's there to basically ruin it for everybody, basically. I'm not saying there's not some really good females in the business, because there are. I mean, I hired a female inker actually recently, and that says something about her, because I'm a male. I've been in the men's rights scene, men's rights activist scene for a while. Basically, more fathers' rights, but men too. Boys are being drugged. I'm not supposed to talk about this, because this is considered having a bad attitude. I might change the name of this actually. Attitude. Attitude. I'm going to change this to attitude, college, and action art. Yep. Okay. Your attitude should be truthful. Okay. Our attitude should be truthful. We should have a truthful attitude. But a good, good attitude, bad attitude, that's too obscure. We're supposed to be about truth and justice, last I knew, in this country, right? That's what I thought. That's what they basically brainwashed me into thinking. And so I think we should have a truthful attitude. So it's my duty to talk about this to young men who are being told, just have a good attitude and excel at what you do and everything will be fine. No, it won't be. That's not how it works now. This is what I was taught. This isn't my opinion. This is what the people that own the colleges, that write, that control all the write and control all the policies from the top down, and own all the corporations in the entertainment business, were telling me in college. Okay, this is not a figment of my imagination. So I raised my hand one day, and it was like business ethics class, and she was like, "Any questions on the homework?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got a question." And she's like, "Yes, Stuart." And I was like, "Yeah, I was like, it says here in my textbook that the workforce in America will diversify over the next 10 years, except for white American born males." I said, so I was like, you're basically saying that they, quote, they, everybody talks about, they're going, this is going to be made to happen. It's not going to just be like, you're not projecting this, like this is the policy. And she was like, yes. And I said, so my parents are paying $60,000 of their nest egg that they want to retire with for me to come to this college and try to make, gain the knowledge to make my dreams come true. And you're telling me that I'm pretty, there's, I might be discriminated against based on my skin color and my gender, I said to her. And she said, yes. She said, yes, like this, like, yes, like that, right to my face, right in front of the whole class. And I was just like, okay. And that hurt my quote attitude right there. Okay. Because I'm a talented guy and I have been for a long time. I showed a lot of promise since I was a young boy, but there was no direction. There was no taking me and saying, okay, we're going to take your son's Mr. and Mrs. Hunkler. The teachers all acknowledged that I was like, they were like, wow, this kid's a really good artist. But they just were just like, oh, good luck with that. Just, oh, good luck with that. Really? So, attitude had, and I had a good attitude for a long time. I was like, oh, well, I'll be positive and whatever. No, attitude has nothing to do with anything anymore. In fact, I think I'm going to play Neil Adams talking about what a jerk he was, how Neil Adams was just a jerk. So let's talk about that. Neil Adams interview. Here, master illustrator. Guy was so mean to me one time at a convention. Talk about being nice. Let's all be positive and nice. Uh, there you go. He doesn't listen to anybody. That's how I am. And he's good, I'm not trying to diss Neil Adams. I want to be real about this man. It has nothing to do with having a good attitude. this guy like basically revolutionized comic books, and he talks about because he was a jerk and he didn't listen to anybody. I know I love doing comics. Yeah, that's one good thing Neil Adams did is he got. By messing up. Oh, what's that? Oh, there you go. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. You were a jerk? Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, and I'm not even trying to break all the rules, you know. I'm standing on the shoulders of people like Neil Adams, you know what I mean? I'm trying to stand on the shoulders of people like this, and that's enough of that. Let's look at this. Speaking of, oh, are you good enough to draw comics? Oh, are you good enough to draw comics? And I don't want to diss this guy too much either because, Rob Liefeld. Uh, I'll keep screen sharing here for a second. Look at this. Look at this. This is Rob Liefeld right here. Look at this neck. I mean, are you kidding me? You know, I'm just saying. Look at this. Look at this Captain America. Look at that nose. I mean, he looks like a zombie almost. And I don't want to diss Rob Liefeld at all either because he he did revolutionize comics. There was a couple that were really bad. He helped revolutionize comics too. His inking was, really what saved them. But God, his anatomy. Are you kidding me? He was horrible a lot of the time. Trying to find the one where he has this chick and her torso is just like super long. Might be this where it was. I should show, like, look at this. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Look at that. I mean, look at that is just retarded. Okay. So let's not go. I mean, I just, I'm just saying that, this is the type of stuff when you're an aspiring artist and you got people like Neil Adams being a dick to you. And the Marvel artists treating you like you're a fucking leper or something, which they're not. I don't really go to that many conventions, and I don't really expose myself that much either. But a couple times I've had pretty much a bad taste left in my mouth from talking to some of these guys, and they're so. It's a sense of narcissism, and the country's burning down and white, there's men, there's this whole agenda to help women and moms, and just have all our money go to women, and give them, and just hand over the industry to women, and and then you got gatekeepers like Neil Adams, like, oh, you're not quite good enough, go practice this, that, instead of seeing your full potential, and connecting good artists together, like, and like, and just making comic books, you know what I mean, and putting people to work making comic books, you know what I mean. It's all this agenda that we got. Instead, like, diversity, quote, diversity is, you know um not everybody has to be the next Neil Adams, you know what I'm saying, like, uh you know it's just, they basically are they're catering, they're basically catering to other, they're basically they're being racist by, and by, they're discriminating against people basically based on on skin color and gender, and that's unethical. And instead of merit, and just, uh um basically, instead of people getting somewhere based on merit, and being evaluated overall, you know what I mean, and you know what I'm saying, and having a sensible, like, common sense way for young American males to profit off of their talents, like doing comic book art, and and giving young men a shot. Like, how come there aren't grants for young men? Where you got, like, the endowment for the arts, um basically, pouring money into things like having, that's another thing. They made me read an article on how this feminist, who also was a so-called, am I still screen sharing? Probably here. Yeah, they made me read an article about this feminist who, almost all the grants for college, I mean, almost half the grants off the bat for college are for females, okay. And so they're really trying to elevate females over men, period. They're putting women over men in a field where, like, women aren't even that creative. I'm sorry, but women, generally, comic books are a white male medium. And I'm not saying that, like, black people, if you're a black person and you do comic books, that's fantastic. I'm definitely going to have a sidekick, not a sidekick, but a crossover, I guess not even a crossover, but I'm gonna have a black vigilante that's like, what would you call it? Kind of like a Nut Job's equal, where at one point Nut Job has to hide from the police in the ghetto, and he runs into this black guy who's like a black version of him, and they team up in the ghetto, and they like kick they like, the government, of course, is shipping like drugs and weapons into the and selling it to gangs in the ghetto, and that's a whole nother little story, like, side adventure in the first story arc. But my point being is, if you all the best, I mean, go look at history, like all the deepest books, the like all, like, sci-fi, all these genres. This is all men coming up with this. Romance, love, that's all, men write about these things. Men traditionally are the ones who seem to be, especially white men, are able to write about almost anything, that not even from that from not even from their own perspective. um like it's called empathy. Basically, it's being empathetic. Most black writers will write about the black condition, but then you'll have white writers that will write about the black condition. You understand what I'm saying? So but they're gonna take all the you go back throughout history, all the most incredible art, all the Shakespeare, love stories, uh, um, adventure stories, everything. Mostly men. This is all men doing this stuff. So they're going to artificially just inject women into the field while your son sits home. He's got to join the military and go have his arms and legs blown off, basically. That's his option nowadays. While that's what I'm saying. Like, so you go to college, all these grants are for females. And I had to read an article back to what I was saying uh, about this female, the endowments for the arts or whatever, paid like it was like hundreds of thousands of dollars for this woman to put yams in her vagina, to put gourds in her vagina on stage, and then some male would come out and eat it or whatever, like eat the gourds, and it was considered performance art, and hundreds of thousands of dollars poured into that. So, my point is, yeah, of course there's gore in comics. Of course there's all this stuff. Hey, let's also have Americana. Let's have strong males. Let's do something about it, and that's what I'm doing. And and people want to hate on me for it, and it's like people or act like it's no big deal. It's a big deal. It is a big deal having a character like Nutjob. It is a big deal. It's pretty much, it's like, and it's more than just, it's like, how dare I use my art talents for something, something good, basically. Instead of just doing a bunch of gore, I could easily just do naked women and people having sex, and I could work for Hustler, you know what I mean, and draw women getting cum all over their faces and everything with big giant tits and nipples. I could do all this if I wanted to make money, but here I am trying to. This is what happens when you try to do the right thing in America. There's people aren't storming down my door right now to support me with Patreon. But if I had boobs, I should probably, I should probably take a comic book project and give it to my sister, and I mean, just secretly give some woman that I know that I can trust, because I know some women that would probably do this for me, and give them a comic book project and just be behind the scenes, like be the ghost writer and the ghost artist for it all. And I guarantee you, people would see a female doing a comic book, and it could be my comic book art, and they just wouldn't care, and they would just throw money at her Patreon, basically. So this is the type of stuff that men have to deal with. We're being discriminated against, but then we're told, well, don't talk about it because that's having a bad attitude. No, we should absolutely talk about it. I was appalled when I learned this stuff in college. What they're doing. I had teachers there. This isn't some little pissant college, okay? This is a big college with like a multi-million-dollar lab. I mean, they had like $80,000 cameras locked up that we could check out to like make for assignments to make commercials and stuff like this. God, good Lord, help me. God, help me communicate this to people. And I mean, I heard I mean, it's a lot of stuff went on there that really disappointed me. I was sitting in rooms sometimes, and there were teachers talking, and they didn't hear me. they didn't know I could hear them talking. And I heard conversations like, I don't even give a shit about this job. I just fucking do it for the fucking, I just do it for the money and da da da. I mean, this country is garbage. I'm telling you right now, man. I mean, so anyway, um, my point being is, I mean, I'm getting off track even just talking about this stuff. My point being is, I was appalled though when I started hearing all this stuff. Like, oh, what I was going to say is there were teachers in my I mean, one of my classes, uh, which really pissed me off, was this guy. I think his name was like Dean Stipes or something like that. Dean Stipes, Mr. Stipes. He was like the head of. He was like the manager that or the he was like the head of special effects for Star Trek Deep Space Nine. You know what I mean? He was that guy was fucking ruthless to me. That guy fucking hated me for some reason. Uh, and at this point, I had already gotten a real distaste of this place because I was like, wow. I was like, this is hell on earth. I was like, these people are completely unethical. Basically, the SJWs, the social justice warriors, run the colleges, and they all hate everybody. They hate everything, anything new. They hate anything new. They don't want anything new in. Basically, they want all just you know, you're trying. You have to sign something. You have to sign something so that when you go to these colleges where they get to keep your art, by the way. And I think it's because they like to steal people's ideas. I mean, I think the whole thing is basically a scam. Going to college is a joke. It's a joke, man. Uh, then there's the whole fact that, like, when I was young, I basically always wanted to be a comic book artist. I knew what I wanted to be. There was all these kids, they didn't know what they wanted to be. I knew what I wanted to be. And then it was like, oh, you know what you want to be? Okay, well, good luck with that, Stuart. You know what I'm saying? This life is absurd. This life is absurd. and and so, but I was like, well, you know, I'll go to college. They treated me like shit in high school. The artist just sat there and drank. He was like a drunk, you know, and he would just paint abstract little lines and blippity blops. All abstract art, which later came out, was a CIA operation to destroy art and culture in America. You know, hey, for the endowments for the arts and all this money to be thrown at garbage instead of Americana, like comic book art. And so, you know, uh, so anyway, I quit school because they were basically, they treated me like a piece of shit in school, and I was a really good kid. I was a really good, smart, helpful, respectful kid. And they just shit all over me. The teachers were mean to me, and I was like, fuck you people, and I left high school, got my GED. They didn't give me a hard time doing that. Just passed the test, went right to college. The fuck was I even in high school for? So I went to college, and same old shit. They basically laughed at me when I talked about wanting to do action art at the local community college, and basically what I should have done in retrospect, but nobody told me this. The quote guidance counselors who are supposedly so good at what they do. Where's my coffee? They didn't tell my mother this, but I should have went to, what is it, the Joe Kubert School of Comic Book Art. That's what I should have went to. What is it? The Joe, whatever that comic book. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Joe Kubert School. Yes, this is where you should go if you want to do comic book art. I saw one of my friends went here that could not hardly draw to save his life, and I see his artwork now online. His name is Jeremy Harper. Where is he? That's not him. Here he is. This kid went to the Joe Kubert School of Art, and he's pretty good now. I mean, this isn't perfect, but look at this. In high school, this kid could not like draw at all. I mean, no, he was all right. I mean, I don't want to put him down completely. You know what I mean? But look at him now. Look at this. He's drawing. Look at these hoodlums beating this dude up or whatever. So this is, but they didn't. I guess I should have talked my parents into helping me go to this school. But whatever, I didn't, and I learned on my own. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm doing now. I'm self-taught now. But my point being is, you know, I went to several colleges and they shit all over. They do comic book art is just, you know, it is really looked down upon, and they want you to just paint cows. They want you to paint cows and you know, stuff women would do. They want you to paint fucking landscapes and fucking cows and shit, and self portraits of yourself in the mirror all day. But anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, and I think being truthful, you know, to hell with having a good attitude, being truthful, that's what we need to do. We need to be truthful about all this stuff, and we need to get it out into the open and, with each other. And white males are being shit on. You know, diversity in comics was show. I'm a fan of his, and I was looking at his GI Joe art, and it was fine. A lot of it was fine with a little bit of help. That kid could have gone a long way and not had to go into the military. He's so privileged. He had to go into the military. And, you know, and he's sitting there defending himself because he had one little fight. I can show you articles where a female gets pushed and just randomly at a bar turns around and stabs someone in the eye with a broken off beer bottle, with a broken glass, smashes a glass. There was an article where this girl, she got no charges, or she got no jail time. She got off completely. She was at a bar, somebody like bumped into her or something. She just randomly turned around and smashed her drink right in some guy's face that had nothing to do with it. She split his eyeball in half. So the guy has double vision till this day. And she didn't go to jail. No jail time. So go to bars and drink around women. You know, and when they stab you or something and get off for it completely, don't complain about it. And yeah, so diversity in comics, you know, you got to sit there. He's got to sit there and defend himself because he got in a little bar fight from the SJWs. So there's all this room for these social justice warrior women to come into comic books and video games and keep guys like diversity in comics. Zach, who's orbiting around comics, he loves comics so much. He's got to prove he's a good guy. I mean, this is what's going on. So, but Zach, you better have a good attitude about how you're being discriminated against, because let's not have a bad attitude about it. So it makes me sick to my stomach. But I am a good comic book artist, and people buy my comic book art. So here's the deal. I'm basically showing you the process that I go through, and I'm going to be setting up my lab. I don't have a camera right now, and I don't feel like even spending the stupid $10 at Best Buy or whatever. I'm just not going to do it right now. I mean, I might, but for now, I'm going to set my laptop up with the camera on right here or whatever, right here, probably right here, because I'm right-handed and I don't want my hand to get in the way. And you're just going to sit there and you're going to watch me draw. And I don't need Marvel or DC or Neil Adams to tell me I'm a good artist, because I will print up my comic book right at fucking Staples, and I'll videotape myself selling my comic book to people and making money on the street if I want to. Just, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. You don't have to save me and save my life, you know, and tell me you're helping me by not hiring me. So yeah, there it is, man. I think she's pretty sexy looking. She's on the scene. She's like, you know, some journalist who covers police brutality. So there's that. And anyway, have a good night, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is the Action Artist, over and out.